Collections, Part 2, Array list. An array list is basically a more dynamic array. Let's say in a usual array, you can't put more items than the array size, but in an array list, it can expand. Let's say if you have an array of 2 items, you can't have 3 items. But if you have an array list with 2 items, you can add another item and have an array list of 3 items. It also has a lot of utility items, utility functions that help deals with usual things that you would have to write a lot more code to do with regular arrays. You can also remove items, and other than that, you can loop it like a normal array. It's just a different syntax than an array. You also need to import it to the file where you're using it. Let's start. You will see everything, but basically an array list is a more dynamic array. If you use the scripting language, you might be used to the functionality. But if you're a total beginner, that's okay. I just want to show you the basics of how to use an array list. We'll start by declaring an array list. Unlike an array, we don't declare the size, but we do have to declare the type. In our case, it's a string array list. It will be an array list that holds strings. We will call it colors. This is how you declare an array list. You need to write the name of the array list. Inside the bigger than, smaller than brackets, you put the type. Name of the array list equals new array list, and again you need to declare the type and normal brackets. Now you see there's an error because we haven't imported the array list. In Eclipse you can either hover it and choose import array list, but I just do the Ctrl-Shift-O and it imports everything. Okay, now let's add a few items to the array list. We said we wanted 3, right? Colors dot add, let's say blue. Let's copy it 2 times and change the values, red and green. Now, let's see what's the size of the array. We will just need to write colors dot size. Let's run it and you will see it will say 3. Let's output the first item just to show you how to manipulate an array list. Get, and the index of blue is 0. If you remember, in arrays you start to count from 0. So if you write 0, we will get the first element. Let's also output it. When we run it, you will see 3 and blue. If we put 1, we will get red because it's the second item. Okay, now let's remove blue. We will call colors again and use the remove function. And we will remove the first element, which its index is 0. And then let's print the size of the array. Again, so you will see that the item was deleted. Two items. But we want to see it visually. Usually in an array you either will loop it or to see the values of an array you basically have to loop it. If you just print an array, you will get the reference of the array in the memory, which is not what we want. With an array list, if you print it, you will get all its items formatted nicely. As you can see, red and green. That's the elements that are left after we removed the color blue with its index. Okay, let's show you how you let's actually show you another functionality of the array. We removed an item. Now I want to add another item, the color violet. It will be added at the end of the array. So now I will show you how to loop an array list, process it, like they like to call it. Let's first print just a line of characters, so we have everything separated. And if we want to loop an array list, we will use a for loop. And the data type of the array list is a string. So the element representing the current element will also be a string. We'll call it S. And then after the two dots, we will write colors, the name of the array list. And that's it. That's how you loop an array list. Exactly the same way you would loop an array, which is very comfortable. Now let's output S, each element in the array list, and you will see it will be red, green, and violet. In an array list, in a usual array, you can't do this. Add and remove items like that. You'd have to reinitialize the array and add the new item and copy the previous array and all that. But here, we just use add and remove. Much simpler. I wouldn't go as far as to say that an array list can replace an array. It's just another tool. If you need an element that can hold multiple values and with different size, like if you need an array with 2 items or 3 items or 10 items, then an array list is the tool for the job. But sometimes you will run into arrays, sometimes you will have to use arrays. So here, as you can see, we looped the new items in the array list. We could also just print the array list to see it, but I wanted to show you how to loop it in case you want to manipulate each element separately. Let's say it was an integer array list like that. Integer, for example. And yeah, that's kind of it for this lesson. Let's go over it. This is how you declare an array list. This is how you add items to an array list. This is how you get the size of the array list. This is how you get a single item for the array list. From the array list, an item you want to manipulate. This is how you remove an item from the array list. This is how you print the array list. Here we add another item after we removed an item. It doesn't matter, you don't have to remove an item to add an item, you can just add more items. And here we just loop the array list. And that's it. You don't have to, be able to master it right now. I just wanted to show you the syntax. So you will have it ready in your mind when we use it with other projects. And that's basically it.